Welcome to the fourth and final week of the Be Well Mindfully Mindfulness Training Program. We appreciate you tuning in to complete this program as you continue your journey of mindfulness. Today, we will focus on being at home in our own body. During today's session, as always, feel free to go through the material at your own pace. We recommend watching the entirety of the video in one sitting so as to minimize the chances of losing your place or missing information presented in this lesson. However, if you need to take breaks, you're encouraged to do so. Feel free to re-watch this video as many times as you would like. As people are asked to become more aware of their bodies through the practice of mindfulness, many discover that we are rarely at home in our own bodies. Most of the time, we are up in our heads, whether at work, in everyday life, or even in the quiet moments when we are apparently relaxing. Our minds are busy with thoughts, plans, memories, or problems to solve. We often stay in our heads until something happens. It could be when we receive a diagnosis of an illness, or are in an accident, or become aware of pain. Suddenly, sensations of the body arise, along with a strong emotion like anger, rejection, or shame. During a mindfulness-based stress reduction group, a woman named Beth shared her experience with chronic pain following a rock climbing accident. She said, "When I continued to struggle with my chronic pain, I started to become so angry at my body. I could no longer do things that I used to. I loved to snowboard, but nowadays I can't get on my board without pain. When I had my good low pain days, I found myself afraid to do anything I used to enjoy because I worried I would fall or overdo it or somehow injure myself and make my pain worse. I felt like I couldn't trust my body anymore. It was so disappointing and frustrating. It made me feel like I was no longer myself, that this pain was getting in the way of me being me." When people experience lasting or chronic pain, it's not uncommon to feel as though their bodies have betrayed them. Similar things may also be seen following trauma. People may notice signs of panic in their bodies, or other signs of distress like chronic muscle tension or gastrointestinal issues. They may also become frustrated at the fight or flight responses that they do not feel in control of, such as a strong and unwanted startle response. If you feel that your body is acting against you, you may experience anger, fear, frustration, regret, and a whole host of disturbing emotions and thoughts. Often, it is not a time when we can readily hear comforting words. The sense of loss may seem too strong. When faced with an intense sense of loss, grief, injustice, or anger, it's not uncommon to want to avoid these feelings. One way that this avoidance shows up is through emotional and physical numbing. We block out our emotions and physical sensations that cause us pain. In theory, this is helpful to protect ourselves from continuing to experience pain. However, when we disconnect and detach, we are unable to experience the positive aspects of life. Also, when we turn away from emotions and sensations, we give them more power over us. If this act of turning away becomes our go-to coping strategy, it can easily snowball in a way that makes us feel unable to manage the demands of our life. When we have been numbing our pain for so long, we do not allow ourselves to learn how to feel our emotions and physical sensations in a healthy way. It can accumulate and worsen over time until we're forced to contend with all of our unresolved issues because they have overpowered us so severely that our lives have become unbearable. Similar to chronic pain, trauma has a way of distancing us from our bodies. If the traumatic event involved a physical attack, such as an assault, the body can become a continual reminder of the horrifying event. As a result, we might avoid really feeling our bodies in a conscious or unconscious effort to suppress the trauma memory. The body is also home to post-traumatic stress responses, like shallow breathing and a racing heart. These physical indicators often serve as trauma reminders, providing more incentive to disconnect from our bodies. However, despite these trauma reminders, as well as the pain, distress, and disturbing emotions and thoughts, we have the power to choose what life we will live. In every moment, whatever the condition of our health, we are living, breathing, and continuing to show up for life. There is something powerful about this fact. It is the same energy that allows a seed to begin to grow in the spring after a winter in hibernation. When we become ill or the demands of overextending ourselves take their toll, our life may no longer include all the activities that once brought us joy. Nevertheless, you may notice life still calling out to you in every moment, asking, "Are you here? Are you still present?" And there is another question, one whispered softly, asking, "Are you willing to entertain the possibility that your present situation is not the end, but the beginning of a new phase of your life?" If so, mindfulness practice can support you as you let go of life that was, so that you can live the life that is. Throughout this training, we have focused on gaining awareness and oneness with our thoughts and feelings. Today, we graduate to something a little more intensive, coming home to our bodies. By doing so, we will focus on reclaiming and reconnecting with our bodies. The ability to experience our bodies as they are, the good and the bad, is an essential part of realizing your wholeness. One way to reclaim our bodies is to focus on mindful movement. In practicing mindful movement, also known as moving meditation, the theme of encountering boundaries often arises as we explore our physical experience of the exercises and our reactions to them. In general, many people are not aware of their boundaries. This may be because they constantly go beyond them or because they hesitate to approach them. Sometimes we find a movement difficult and back off from doing it. Other times we push ourselves to stretch farther and farther beyond what might be suitable for us at the time. Sometimes we are so preoccupied with the effort that we lose contact with our bodies completely. The word boundary often has a negative connotation. It implies that something is limited or forbidden. The usual advice for working with boundaries is to break through or push beyond. Yet, not honoring our boundaries can result in forcing ourselves past what is good for us. Becoming aware of our boundaries, on the other hand, is an invitation to sit up and take notice. Boundaries invite us to care for ourselves. They open us up to a new level of sensitivity that asks us to come in close, to explore carefully and tenderly. Being in tune with our bodies can help us be in tune with ourselves, and this encourages us to ask, what nurtures me? In mindfulness practice, we discover that boundaries can shift and change. Rather than breaking through them, we can explore them. In mindful movement, we practice tuning into sensations in the same way we did in the body scan exercise. As we begin to explore sensations and their different layers of intensity, we can notice that they consist of different qualities. Sensations can include qualities of lightness, heaviness, warmth, cold, tickling, or prickling, just to name a few. The sensations that we notice can vary from day to day, even from hour to hour or breath to breath. We may experience a relaxation of muscle tension, lightness, or a stronger sense of being grounded. We may also experience tightness, burning, or pulsation. Some sensations may be pleasant, some may be unpleasant. And this too can change from moment to moment. If you are coming to mindful movement with chronic pain, you may become aware of your pain in a way that you never have before. This does not necessarily mean that you have more pain, only that you are more aware of it. At first, there can be a sense of disappointment or confusion, especially if you are determined to get rid of the discomfort. But as your mindful practice continues, you may become aware that you let go of results and just quietly ask yourself from moment to moment, what is this? What am I feeling? Again, being present with the changing sensations moment to moment. One frequent reaction to pain is resistance, which often takes the form of the body tightening up in anticipation or reaction. We can also tighten up mentally, or we may try to distract ourselves from the sensation. When asked to describe a sensation, we tend to do so in terms of our emotional reaction to it. We like it, or we don't like it, or perhaps we are indifferent. There can be multiple reactions to the same situation. For example, athletes know that having sore muscles after exertion is something that is common. They may also know that stretching properly will increase flexibility and improve their performance. For someone with a chronic pain condition, experiencing tight muscles or soreness may be interpreted as a sign that their condition is worsening. Similarly, they may fear or avoid stretching due to worries that the pain may get worse. When dealing with chronic pain, it's helpful to distinguish between describing a sensation objectively and having an emotional reaction to it. This often is a difficult concept. People may say strongly that pain is pain, and others might say, it sounds like you're saying I have to accept the pain, but isn't it natural to want to get rid of it? As this course proceeds, we hope to allow you to see that there is no guarantee that discomfort will end, but that we do have the power to change our relationship to it. This shift includes moving from being a victim to being an active witness of our experience. Shinzen Young, an American meditation teacher who has worked with many chronic pain patients, described the relationship between pain and resistance as follows. For example, an uncomfortable sensation may arise in your knees as you're meditating. At the same time, you may observe that in reaction to the pain, you are clenching and tightening other parts of your body, while in your mind a stream of judgments and aversive thoughts are erupting. The sensation in your knee is the pain, the tension is your bodily resistance, and the judgments are mental resistance. The resistance can be distinguished clearly from the pain itself. As you consciously relax the tension and drop the judgments, even though the pain level is the same, it seems to be less of a problem. You are making your first steps in learning how to experience pain skillfully. When thinking of experiencing pain skillfully, it may be difficult to know where to start. Mindfulness programs take the stance that experiencing pain skillfully involves increasing our ability to be present with pain without letting it consume us or trying to push it away. A great mantra to remember for this skill is, as it is, it's okay. For someone who's used to pushing to excel, the statement, as it is, it's okay, does not compute. For them, it's simply not an option to be entertained even briefly. It sounds too much like passive acceptance of things as they are. Their way of operating is to see each situation as a challenge to overcome through obstacles and all. Mindful movement is a practice where we can recognize this form of supposed self-encouragement as disguised self-judgment. We can learn that our self-worth is independent of how successful we are with the movement. Acknowledging the truth of the moment in mindful movement, as in life, broadens our mind and opens our heart. If we are stiff one morning and we'd rest rather than pushing beyond a certain point, a soft thank you can arise within us, not so much in words, but in a gentle ease that settles in our body. In mindful movement, as with the body scan mindfulness exercise, we become aware of our body as a complex, sensing organ that is continually evolving. As we become aware of the impermanence of all things, including our body, we can experience a sense of tenderness towards the fragile organism that is us. Through mindfulness, we can come to recognize that change is not an obstacle, but an indicator of potential. This helps us live a full life with pain rather than in spite of it. Many participants in an MBSR course find it possible to live with difficulties and pain without trying to get rid of them or change things. The battles they fight with themselves diminish as a sense of self-acceptance grows. Others who once felt that they were unable to participate in mindful movement see that they are capable of more than they imagined. The glass is no longer half empty, but half full, and sometimes even on the verge of overflowing. Mindfulness practice can help us release from the prison of perfection into the comfort of our imperfect and wonderful bodies and lives. Before we begin a mindful movement exercise, Here are a few helpful hints. Practicing mindful movement is not about achieving something or only being concerned about how to perform the exercises. Practicing movement mindfully is about becoming aware of ourselves and what we are experiencing in the moment. Questions that can help us be more mindful include: what is happening right now? What am I sensing? And what do I notice? We practice being aware of the sensations we feel as we notice whether they are getting stronger or weaker. We also observe our reactions to the sensations. For example, when you observe yourself, do you feel stable and calm? Do you notice restlessness and have thoughts darting here and there? Try to become aware of everything that happens, but without changing, adding, or omitting anything. You may notice, however, that you try to do so anyway. As best you can, pay attention to this as you practice, to just being with what is from moment to moment. When practicing mindful movement, it's important to respect what is possible on any given day. If you sense that doing an exercise is not good for you, or perhaps not possible that day, then not doing it is a way of taking care of yourself. Pushing through is exactly the opposite. If you decide not to do an exercise, perhaps look into other exercises you can do. For example, if you're unable to participate in a mindful walking exercise, consider a mindful stretching exercise. We have discussed the idea that mindful movement is about exploring boundaries, but how exactly do we accomplish this? For example, when you perform a certain action, you may notice that you're thinking you should stop. You may notice that you stop before any sense of discomfort has appeared. You may notice that you're stopping before it's necessary, perhaps out of habit and anticipation of an uncomfortable sensation. On the other hand, you may notice that you sense a need to go further, and that in an effort to do so, you push yourself beyond what is helpful or healthy for your body. Raise the intention to take care of yourself, and see if it's possible to refrain from the following impulses that are arising. Then, return to the movement and continue. We can learn a great deal about our body, mind, and heart through mindful movement practice. We can apply those lessons to living mindfully, discovering the space between doing too much and doing too little. We find the way of doing just enough. We learn to trust the wisdom of asking, what is best for me? Now that we have covered basic advice for mindful movement, we will introduce a mindful movement exercise. There are many different paths of mindfulness, one of which is the practice of walking meditation. During the walking meditation, we direct our full attention to each step we take, being mindful of the physical sensations. To begin, it is helpful to practice the walking meditation as a formal mindfulness exercise. This guided meditation will help guide your awareness to different sensations and actions. As you go through everyday life, you can integrate elements of the walking meditation into daily activities, such as taking a stroll in the park or walking around the block. Choose a place where you can take about 15 or 20 steps without any obstacles. This could be at home or outside. It helps to walk slowly at first, so you can more easily be aware of each part of the walking movement. The rhythmic pace of walking helps slow down mental activity and calms the mind. At times when the mind is particularly restless and our thoughts are racing, walking meditation may feel more comfortable than sitting meditation. While the body is in motion, our minds focus on a specific activity, namely the act of walking, and this helps the flood of thoughts to gradually slow down. Start by deciding on the amount of time you want to devote to a session of walking meditation. For example, 10 or 15 minutes. To begin, stand still for a moment at your starting position and become aware of your body in the standing posture. You may want to allow your arms to hang loosely by your sides, or if you prefer, you can bring them together and clasp them in front of your stomach or behind your back. Allow your shoulders to relax downward. If you like, you can close your eyes for a moment while bringing your awareness fully to your body. You may also leave your eyes open and gaze softly downward about a yard's distance in front of you. Feel the distribution of weight on your feet and the sensation in your legs, your back, the front of your body, your arms, shoulders, and head. Don't try to change any of these sensations. We practice simply being aware of them. When you're ready, refocus your gaze or open your eyes if they're closed, and slowly start walking forward. With every step you take, be aware as best you can of the sensations of movement. You may be aware of the pressure on your foot on the ground, the lifting of your foot, the shifting of your weight from one foot to another. Just take one step and another and another. Once you reach the end of the distance you set for yourself, pause for a moment and be aware of your body. Then turn around slowly. Pause again for some moments in the standing posture and walk back along the same route. Continue walking back and forth in the same way, remaining aware of your sensations and the process of walking. If you find your mind wandering, which will happen during a walking meditation as it does any meditation, just be aware of it in a gentle and non-judgmental way. Then turn your attention to the step you're in the process of taking and any sensations present. Continue the walking meditation until you reach the end of the time period you established in the beginning. And as you end the walking meditation, stand for a few moments in stillness, sensing your whole body. Then bring the meditation to a close in whatever way you find most comfortable. Welcome to the 5-minute breathing meditation exercise. Before we begin, we have one bit of advice. With any of these practices, the deepest healing occurs when you come to terms with the way things are. This might mean simply noticing and acknowledging stress or anxiety rather than falling into old patterns of running away from it. You may discover that by embracing your fear, you find your heart. Do this practice in a relaxing environment without distractions. You can either do it lying down or sitting up, but if you find yourself lying down and falling asleep, try to switch to a more upright posture. Bring your full, undivided attention to this practice as you listen to the following meditation. Take a few moments to be still. Congratulate yourself for taking some time for meditation practice. Bring your awareness to your breath wherever you feel it most prominently in your body. It may be at the nose, neck, chest, belly, or somewhere else. Take a few moments to just breathe naturally. As you breathe in normally and naturally, be aware of breathing in, and as you breathe out, be aware of breathing out. Simply maintain this awareness of the breath, breathing in and breathing out. As you bring awareness to your breathing, there is no need to visualize, count, or figure out the breath. Just be mindful of breathing in and breathing out. Without judgment, just watch the breath ebb and flow like waves in the sea. There is no place to go and nothing else to do. Just be in the here and now, noticing the breath. Just living life one inhale and one exhale at a time. As you breathe in and out, be mindful of the breath rising as you inhale and falling as you exhale. Notice the movement and sensation in different parts of the body as you continue to breathe. Just riding the wave of the breath moment by moment, breathing in and breathing out. From time to time, attention may wander from the breath. When you notice this, simply acknowledge where you went and gently bring your attention back to the breath. Breathing normally and naturally without manipulating the breath in any way. Just be aware of the breath as it comes and goes. As you come to the end of this meditation, congratulate yourself for taking the time to be present, realizing that this is an act of self-care and love. May we be at peace. May all beings be at peace. Thank you for participating in the walking meditation. This is just one example of mindful movement. While mindful movement is an important practice for anyone, it is especially helpful if you experience post-traumatic stress symptoms or chronic pain. The practice of mindful movement helps us to be with the experiences of our bodies, both the comfortable and the uncomfortable, without avoiding or shutting the sensations off. Mindful movement can also be a wonderful way to reduce muscle tension, which can exacerbate stress and physical pain. If you're interested in continuing with the practice of formal mindful movement, activities such as Tai Chi or yoga are excellent options. You can also continue with informal practice just by remembering to be mindful of your moment-to-moment experiences during everyday life. Additionally, practices such as the 5-minute breather meditation can be helpful to bring into daily life as a relatively quick practice to help center yourself in the present moment. As you become more accustomed to the practice of noticing your breath, this practice can be done in almost every situation and at any time. Breathing meditations can be especially helpful to wind down after doing a meditation that might be particularly difficult or intense. This brings the formal lesson portion of the Be Well Mindfully Mindfulness Training Program to a close. During this 4-week program, we've covered 4 of the basic themes of mindfulness-based stress reduction, or MBSR. These themes include developing simple awareness and disengaging from autopilot, our relationship with our thoughts, attachment and aversion to experiences, and being at home in our own bodies. Please remember to continue with the daily mindfulness practice exercises displayed on the website below this video. Additionally, at the end of the 4th week, please remember to complete the post-intervention surveys if you have not done so already. Your responses on these surveys will be used to learn more about interventions and programs that may help adults with post-traumatic stress symptoms and chronic pain. Additionally, all feedback you supply will be used to continue to improve our current mindfulness intervention program. Once again, we thank you for participating in this program and congratulate you on beginning the journey of bringing mindfulness into your daily life.